Hi, welcome to the second YouTube video on my channel. I'm Faith Fawcett. I'm an indie author slash content creator, I guess. That's weird to say. But yeah, today we are going to be doing a Q&A. So I have saved all of the responses from my Instagram story. There's quite a few to go through, and we are just gonna we'll try and get through as many as we can, and hopefully you guys will find this interesting. So the first question we have then is, what is the message you want to make as an author to teens? So as many of you know, I mainly write for teenagers. I do have a few children's books out, but I always want to write about the things that people are that people are too scared to talk about. So I just want people to realize, or like, maybe not even realize, but just feel like they're not alone. Because being a teenager, you go through a lot of rubbish things and people don't always understand it, especially older people. If you try and talk to like a parent about it or like a teacher, they just don't get it from that same experience. They're just like, oh, wait till you're older. But I just want people to know that you can feel how you feel. That's completely valid, and I hope that my books do that for people. They just feel like they're not alone, and they're like, oh, that character reminds me of myself. And yeah, that's basically what I'm hoping to get out of it. The second question is, what made you decide to go indie instead of trad publishing, and would you want to be traditionally published? So I did query a little bit a few years back for a middle grade fantasy, but when I was researching, it all just felt wrong. Like, I actually felt sick. It just did not feel right. By this point, I'd already self-published 2 books. I wasn't promoting them, but like they existed. But then this is when I met Emma Smith for the first time. I got her book out at the library, realized that she lived really close to me. We started chatting, and now she's like one of my best friends. But it was really Emma who got me into that, like, the proper indie publishing scene. I learned a lot more about what I wanted from my author journey from her. So I do think she was like a really big part of it. Right now, I wouldn't I don't think I'd query. I don't like being in the query trenches. I just like creating, and that's like the most important thing for me. Now, if any of my books started doing super well and, an agency reached out to me or like a publishing house reached out to me, that would be a different story. It would be something that I would have to consider and like look into, because, that would be cool. It would bring like a whole new audience to my books, but it would just depend on the situation, how I'm feeling at the time. But I'm not opposed to something like that happening. So the next question is, would you ever consider writing a murder mystery? I feel like I've slightly touched on that with Never Forget You. It's not a full-on murder mystery, but there is a mystery element around like who killed my mother, but the main aspect is definitely coming of age, so it's not the full premise or anything like that. In terms of like a full-on murder mystery, I mean, maybe, because I don't read a lot of it, but I read Emma's books and obviously they kind of give that vibe, and I'm just like, this is so cool. Like, I really, really enjoy those plots. So I guess I would see. The problem is I really like to have like the main plot be like an emotion or like a mental health thing or like a physical health thing. Like, I like it to have something like that I'm representing. So it would have to be something to do with that as well. Like, it wouldn't be just a murder mystery. It would be murder mystery with something that I want to represent. Otherwise, I think I'd struggle. Okay, the next question is, what was James's reaction to finding out you wrote Lost for You and basing a character on him? Now, I did ask James about this the other day. For context, James is my boyfriend. He has been very supportive with my books. He's always been the one telling me like, no, Fif, you need to write more. You need to do this. So he's been very supportive throughout all of that. I think with Lost for You, more than anything, like, he said that he was just proud that I was writing and like pushing myself and jumping over that barrier, because he knows that Lost for You is like such a game changer for my writing career. So yeah, I mean, in terms of Nick, he's not like, oh wow, there's a character based on me or anything like that. I think it's just more pride that I've managed to do it and to follow my dream. The next question is, how do you balance wanting to read while keeping up with your writing? This is something I really struggle with, but it's not just like balancing those two, because obviously I have a full-time job as well. That's usually the thing that gets in the way more than anything else. And then also having a chronic illness too can make things really difficult, because even just something as simple as like sitting down to read is impossible if I'm in a flare-up. So I think it's just like Something that I'm not very good at is creating that balance yet. It's something that I want to work on and I want to get better at. But I think I'm at the point now where I've got so many books out that it's okay that I take my time a little bit more. Like there's no rush to like make sure I've got content for people. The books are there. Hopefully I'll find my readers. And that's just kind of how I'm trying to feel at the moment so that I can have time for other things. So the next question is top 3 pieces of advice for indie authors. I'm going to say what I always say to people. It's all about dedication, not motivation. If this is something that you want, you will just do it. You will sit down every day and do it. Even if I'm feeling absolutely hideous, I'll still make sure I've done something towards my author career, even if it's like posting some videos or whatnot, like just something to feel like I've done it. That's genuinely my main piece of advice, but I would also say for like young indie authors as well, make sure you have somebody edit because you know, your story deserves to be told. Just because you're young doesn't mean that you're not a good writer. But the problem is most of the time they don't get an editor, and then that's where the issues come in because there's grammar issues on every single line, and it just makes the book like way worse than it needed to be because your story is amazing and I want to read it and I want to support you. But it's, when you get into that wider audience and you're charging for your book, you need to make sure that you've at least proofread it to make sure there's like no errors and things like that and like random typos that could be fixed. So don't underestimate the editing stage is my next piece of advice. Other than that, what else? Oh, okay. My other piece of advice is to chat with other authors, especially indie authors, because we're all in this boat together. Everyone else will be able to give you their own tips, but they'll also give support, they'll give engagement, and it's just like a good way to like build your confidence up and like, weasel yourself into the scene. It's really lovely over here. But yeah, so those would be my 3 pieces of advice. Okay, the next question is where have you found the most engagement on your socials? I would say definitely on TikTok. It's been the easiest to kind of like build. Like I'm at the time of filming this, I just hit 4,600 followers, and I've only been posting since I want to say like February, March of 2024. So like it's not been absolutely ages. It's been like here a year and a half ish. Instagram's slowly growing. I do find that a lot of people kind of reply to my stories more on there or like they engage with what's on my story. So in terms of like, oops, in terms of the stories, definitely Instagram. Facebook's been a bit dry. Maybe that's on me. I don't know. But definitely TikTok is the best place to kind of like get started if you have a book coming out or you want to get more into that side of things. Next question is, do you listen to music while you write or edit? Yes, like 99% of the time I will be listening to music. All of my books have a Spotify playlist, which I'm sure if you find me on Spotify, you could find those too. Um, I find it way easier to like get into the scene, get into the memories and the emotion. It just really, really helps like fit the vibe, I think. The next question is, how do you come up with ideas for graphics and your book covers? Most of my book covers are designed by Emma Smith. Emma Smith is an author, but she's also an artist as well. So she designs like my YA novel covers, and she's also about to redo my children's covers as well, which is super exciting. She also designs like my merch and things like that, and the internal graphics for most of my books. It will say like if it's an Emma Smith book cover and graphic, it will say like the copyright page. But yeah, so the honest answer is I don't, because Emma's a genius and she figures that all out for me. Okay, so the next question is, what's your favorite genre to read and why? Is it different from what you prefer to write? I would definitely say so, yeah. I don't actually read a lot of YA coming of ages, but I love writing them. My reading is very much, I'm like a mood reader basically, but I especially love to read like middle grade fantasy or like historical fantasy. And when I say historical, it doesn't necessarily have to be set in the past. It's just the aspect of it being written in the past. So like Enid Blyton, for example, love. Um, but yeah, I read a lot of children's, which makes sense because I also write children's. So I guess those kind of align. I'm trying to read more YA because I think it would be good for me. I need a mix. I just can't read one genre. Okay, the next question is what can we expect from this channel? So obviously by the time you guys are watching this is my second video. You've seen the first one, which was a 24-hour readathon. And now we're doing a Q&A just to kind of, get things started, let you guys get to know me a little bit more. But Em's my editor. We have come up with like a bunch of video ideas for like, I think we went up until March or something like that. But I'm always asking you guys for like, what do you guys want to see? Because we can like add those in. Like it's fine. We can just swap them out. But there'll be a lot of like readathons fun, writing vlogs, travel vlogs. We got some baking planned at one point. So just lots of things to do with like books and life. Yeah. How easy was it to self-publish through KDP? I won't lie, when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. I was very much doing it alone. Um, when I pressed that button, nobody else knew I was doing it. It was very scary. And so I kind of not rushed into it, but I did it very secretly. And then I was like, I did a thing. So I didn't really have much support with that like first initial thing. So I didn't have any friends that were authors and already self-publishing at that point. Nowadays I find it a lot easier. One, because I've been through the KDP process so much, but also because I find it way easier to learn more about self-publishing because I'm friends with so many indie authors and we're all helping each other. So I think it's kind of something that like you'll naturally just know more about over time and it will get easier. If you don't already, when will you feel like you've made it as an author? Honestly, I don't know. Sometimes I have little baby feelings of like, oh my gosh, have I done it? Am I living it? I think even though I definitely feel like baby famous, you guys know that I say that, and like I feel like I've got fans, which is really weird. So I feel like I'm in the beginning stages of making it, but for me personally, I'll feel like I've made it as an author when I'm able to do this full time, even if it's like my book royalties and my content creation income, that still counts. But at the moment, my main job isn't to do with like either of those two things. So when I'm officially doing this all the time, I think that's when I'll really feel like I've been successful and I've made it. And for me, that's so important because I wanted to be a writer since I was 4. I'm 23 now, and I've literally everything I've ever done in my life has been to get to this point where I am now. So I do feel extremely grateful for anyone that like has supported me and is on this journey with me. I will never forget any of you guys. You are the OGs. But I do feel like I'm on the way. I just don't feel like I'm there yet. Okay, so are you thinking of exploring other genres? If so, can we know which? I mean, I've spoken about it a little bit, but I do have a middle grade fantasy series coming out at some point, which I've written children's fantasy, but obviously middle grade fantasy is like slightly different. So there's that. But to be honest, I'm mainly going to focus on my YA coming of age. I am going to finish off the Thorpe Sisters series either at the end of this year or beginning of next year so that that's all finished because I don't really want historical novellas to be something I have to focus on in the future. I really just want to like hone in on my children's fantasy and my YA coming of ages. They're like the two most important ones to me. There might be subgenres within that. I really want to explore mystery a little bit more as a subplot because I always kind of do it by accident and then I don't know, I feel like I need to put more research into that. Okay, so the next question is best way to find ARC readers. I feel like I'm at a point now where I've got a big enough TikTok kind of page or whatever you call it that I can kind of just do a video and be like, hey, I'm looking for ARC readers, and it will kind of like find people to sign up for that. So I guess to begin with, I just asked like the few people that I knew on BookTok and Bookstagram if they would like be willing to help by ARC reading. But now that I'm slightly bigger, I do just start posting about it and I'm like, yeah, if you're interested, fill in this Google form. Like for example, with Uncover, can I do a pop-up of Uncover, please? With Uncover, it got like nearly 200 Google form responses of people wanting to be ARC readers, and I did have to slim it down, I think, to like 60. However, even within that 60, it's only actually got 42 reviews, even though it's been out since April. So you want to overestimate how many people are going to read it because not everybody will. So get more than you need, but also do multiple rounds of Google Forms to make sure they're actually interested. But just putting your feelers out there and just asking is a good way to do it. Okay, the next one is how did you meet/find the people you work with for your books? So I guess like I've got like a few close friends that I have built through TikTok and Instagram and all that. So like I've already kind of gone through how I met Emma in this video. With I met her kind of around the Lost View release time. She just found my account. We started talking. And then me, and Emma have like a group chat with all three of us. So we yap a lot there. But then there's been other people like Jasmine, who I met, I don't even know when, it's been a while now. But just from like people stumbling across my account and then we get chatting. And some people I just absolutely love chatting to, and I've found some really lovely friendships from that. Obviously, there's like people where I don't talk to all the time, and that's fine, but we just support each other. I'm quite an introverted person, But there's just been like a select few people that I'm just like, I love you guys. I can't imagine my life without them anymore. Like my little best friend group. So there's Georgie, who is currently working on her first poetry collection, which I'm super excited for that. And then there's Emma Smith, and then Emma Solstice, and then Jasmine. But yeah, you guys are like my little gang, and I'm obsessed with you. If you could only write in one genre for forever, what genre would you choose? That's really freaking hard. I feel like YA coming of ages is like the best to say from like the career perspective, but I really, really enjoy my children's fantasy, and so I think I would have to pick children's fantasy. It's my favorite. It's my favorite to read, my favorite to write. It's just like harder to promote that one. But I think I would take the risk because I love it. So I'm going to go children's fantasy. Do you have a writing schedule, or do you write when the feeling hits you? This kind of goes back to the question about advice. So obviously dedication over motivation. You have to set yourself those goals. You have to get to them. If you only wrote when the feeling hit you, you would probably not be a very successful author, just because you gotta be pumping them out. And if you really, really enjoy it, it kind of trumps anything anyways. Um like even if I'm feeling rubbish, I'm like, I want to write. I'm gonna go get my laptop and write in bed. So yeah, I make myself do it, and by doing that, it's a really good way of making sure you don't get writer's block anymore, because you forced yourself so much. You don't even have to think anymore. Okay, what authors would you consider your biggest inspirations? I mean, I've kind of already spoken about it a little bit, but definitely Emma Smith, just for like all the help with indie publishing, but also Jacqueline Wilson, because I read her a lot as a kid, especially Hetty Feather. I reread that like crazy. And I just think she's so open with her readers, and the way that she interacts with her readers is just so lovely. Like, I want to be like that. Definitely Enid Blyton as well. She was one of the readers when I was little that made me realize, yeah, I want to write books just like you, because I was reading from a very young age. So I got to Enid Blyton very quick in life, and I never stopped. She's like one of my favorites, so I would definitely say those ones. Okay, so Maisie says, what inspired you to start writing? I guess I kind of just answered that one. So, reading authors like Enid Blyton when I was growing up, I just really, really love reading. And my mum read to me a lot as well when I was very little. So I think I just got into this pattern of like, I love books. I want to create those. And like ever since I was 4, that was kind of when it clicked for me. I had a slight few weeks when I was 5 where I was like, I want to be a doctor, but that's because I was learning more about death and I didn't want my parents to die. So I thought if I became a doctor, I could stop that. That's not how it works, but go me. But other than that, like slight interlude, yeah, there's been nothing else. It's in my heart. It just feels right. And I can't imagine my life any other way. So the next question is, what is your current read? What am I currently reading? I just finished a book. I just finished reading the Ersatz Elevator for a video that I'm filming. But I'm currently reading on my Kindle PS I Love You. Okay, this next question is, what book inspired you to write? I used to read a lot of, okay, I kind of can't get them out, but like Enid Blyton's short story collections, like Look Out for the Elephant was one of my favorites. And A Hole in Her Pocket. But also, I really loved The Magic Faraway Tree. I have my Enid Blyton shelf up there, so I'm just, seeing what there is. But those were like 3 of my favorites when I was in primary school. I used to reread them constantly. The first chapter book I read though was when I was 6, and that was Charlotte's Web, and I really, really love that too. How do you come up with ideas for your books? Some of them are based on like real life, so like for example, Lost for You is like my personal experience. But some of them are kind of like, whatever my brain feels like it wants to write when I have that Word document open. But they are like inspired by my life. Like Uncover is set in Scarborough, which is very near to me. I actually went to sixth form in Scarborough. So just having like some of the settings link. But my books are set in Yorkshire and I live in Yorkshire. So just taking inspiration from like what's around me. In terms of the general plots, I like it to be about something that I want to talk about. So like for example, with Christmas With You, there's OCD rep in there because I was diagnosed with that last year, and I've just struggled with it for so long. I needed a character that had it as well. So just little bits like that to kind of turn into something bigger. This question is, what do you find is the hardest part of indie publishing? I definitely say promotion. I can write to my heart's content, I can publish as much as I want, but actually finding people to read it and to support me can be tricky. And that's why I'm really grateful for all the people that do, because you guys are hard to find and I appreciate you being around. Okay, so Freya says, what is the writing process? Do you extensively plan? The only two books that I've published that I've ever planned are Felicity and Adelaide, and I think they're my worst two in terms of if I'm going to rank them. I don't plan. It takes the fun out of it. It doesn't feel natural once I've started writing. My brain works like a reader. It will kind of be going through and it will know what needs to happen because you know, it. I'm naturally seeing what the storyline needs as I go through, and I just think that works way better for me. I think I'll probably always do that. Okay, do you have any hot takes or unpopular opinions about books? Yeah, I do. I'm not going to talk about all of them because I don't want you all to hate on me in like my second video. But there are just some books that get hated on for no reason, and then there are books that should be hated on that aren't. Um, I do talk about it sometimes on my live streams. I try not to talk like I don't want to name names and stuff like that because I don't want to crap on other authors. That's just not very nice. But I think it would be cool if we could stop promoting the exact same books a bajillion times over and give some of us smaller authors a chance because it's hard out here.
The next morning.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed watching this Q&A. I hope that you found my answers super interesting and that I answered everything in the way that you wanted me to. Thank you to anybody who did submit a question. It was really, really helpful and it would have been really awkward if nobody had. So thank you guys. But yeah, let me know down below if there's any video ideas that you have, or if you have any questions that I didn't answer that you would want me to answer, just pop those in the comments. And as usual, please, please, please subscribe if you enjoyed this. I'm trying really, really hard to build up my YouTube channel at the moment. We will be posting every Friday at 6 p.m. I say we because we have my lovely editor, over there. And yeah, also drop a like because that's important too, isn't it? Anyways, I feel really awkward filming these outros. I'm hoping that I'll get used to it soon. But thank you so, so much for watching again, and I will see you next week. This has nothing to do with the video, but the guinea pigs are squealing so much. I'm really confused.